Hello and welcome back to the MMA Bar. Today we're going to discuss the all-time great upset that happened at UFC 278 when Leon Edwards knocked out Kamaru Usman. Just when it looked like the writing was on the wall, Leon Edwards shocked the world and did the seemingly unthinkable. In the UFC 278 main event Saturday at Vivint Arena in Salt Lake City, Edwards knocked then reigning welterweight champion Kamaru Usman unconscious with a Hail Mary head kick with less than 60 seconds to go in the 5th round. The knockout blow came after nearly 4 rounds of relative domination by the champion Usman, who stifled Edwards with strong cardio, grappling, and control. Edwards looked noticeably frustrated at times, but ultimately scored the result he wanted in all-time fashion. A left high kick blocked out the line of sight of Usman by a left jab, slipped up and cranked the champion, who folded in lawn chair fashion as he gazed blankly at the ceiling lights. Despite dominating a major part of the fight, Nigeria's Kamaru Usman lost his welterweight title to British fighter Leon Edwards early Sunday morning. Usman, nicknamed the Nigerian Nightmare, is adjudged as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter. He was looking to make the 6th defense of his title in a rematch against Edwards, and he appeared to be making progress until he was dealt the last-minute kick that left him in the cold. Before the early Sunday fight, Usman and Edwards had faced off in the early stages of their UFC careers, and it was the Nigerian who won unanimously in 2015. Since outpointing Edwards in 2015, Usman had won 13 consecutive fights, whilst the Brit was unbeaten in 10. Usman won the first fight by using his wrestling to control the majority of the contest, a tactic Edwards says opened his eyes to weaknesses in his own grappling game. Following that bout, Edwards worked hard on his wrestling, and the improvements made were evident from the start of the rematch. In beating Usman, Birmingham's Edwards avenges his defeat in 2015 and ends the 35-year-old's 15-fight unbeaten streak in the UFC. Jamaican-born Edwards, who was a big underdog with bookmakers going into the bout, extends his winning streak to 10 since the defeat by Usman 7 years ago. In the co-main fight of UFC 278, Brazil's Paulo Costa beat America's Luke Rockhold via unanimous decision in a gripping contest. Both fighters landed heavy shots throughout the bout, with Rockhold in particular fatiguing heavily as it wore on. Former middleweight champion Rockhold, 37, who was competing for the first time in 3 years, appeared to confirm his retirement following the defeat. He said, "I've been through so much the last few years. Thank you, UFC. I can't do this anymore. I gave it my all, but I'm old." Elsewhere, Georgia's Merab Dvalishvili beat Brazil's former featherweight champion Jose Aldo by decision in their bantamweight contest. Dvalishvili's relentless pace wore Aldo down as he extended his winning streak to 8. The win puts the 31-year-old in title contention for his teammate and training partner Aljamain Sterling's belt. However, the main event between Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards took all the headlines. In the first round, Leon tripped Usman, becoming the first fighter in UFC history to complete a takedown on the Nigerian. Edwards dominated Usman with good strikes, with his long arms keeping him at bay the entire time. It looked like it was going to be a tough night for the champion. Usman responded strongly in the 2nd and 3rd rounds, pressuring Edwards with flurries of strikes and controlling much of the contest with his grappling. Usman came out much calmer. He brought out all his experience, threw good punches, and hit him up and down. On several occasions, he took the challenger to the ground, but could not submit him. The fight was slow. It took place mostly on the fence. Usman took Edwards against the mesh, and there they stayed. One tried to submit, and the other defended himself. Edwards started to show signs of fatigue in the 4th, brought on by the relentless grappling from Usman as the champion landed an effortless takedown and continued to control the fight. At the end of the round, Edwards' corner loudly urged their fighter to up his game and get his hands moving. The challenger listened to his corner, although he did not start the round with everything. It was rather a copy of the previous episodes. They were again on the fence, and the referee asked them to go to the center of the octagon. It was then that the surprise was given. With Usman likely ahead on points going into the 5th, Edwards needed something special, and the Briton delivered. Edwards feinted going in with a right hand. Usman put his hands up, tilted his head to the opposite side, and received a kick that disconnected him. No one in the arena could believe it. Usman's long streak of 7 defenses was over, and there was a new UFC welterweight champion. Edwards jumped in on the cage in celebration as the enormity of what he had achieved started to sink in. Commentator Joe Rogan said the kick which ended the fight was potentially the best he's seen in the UFC. Edwards shocked Usman in the 5th while being behind on points to score arguably the sport's biggest upset ever. Edwards was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica before he moved to the UK at the age of 9. His father was a leader of a gang in Jamaica, which meant Edwards was exposed to gang violence, including shootings from a young age. At At the age of 13, Edwards' father was murdered, which pushed him into Birmingham's gang culture before he eventually escaped via mixed martial arts when he joined a fighting gym 4 years later. Training in MMA was the outlet Edwards needed to channel his energy into something positive, and his dedication showed as he rose through the ranks after joining the UFC. Following a victory over Usman, an emotional Edwards paid tribute to his mother. "I was born in Jamaica with nothing. I lived in a wooden shed with a zinc roof. Look at me now, pound for pound, headshot, dead. That's it. I said it's possible. We can win a belt from the UK, I told you." With Usman losing, Anderson Silva's 16-fight winning streak remains the UFC record. Edwards competed in his third fifth round in the UFC. It appears he will now face the winner of the UFC 279 fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz. However, a rematch with Usman is a much more likely possibility. UFC President Dana White, during a post-fight press conference with the media, insisted on a trilogy. White suggested Wembley as a venue and expressed his desire to see the rubber match in England. "I thought that Usman fought the perfect fight. You think of everything that was on the line for Usman tonight. Usman fought with absolute and total confidence all night. It might not be the most fan-friendly style, but he was landing big shots to the body, big shots to the head, and elbows. He couldn't have fought a more perfect fight until the last minute." As is the case when most longtime champions are finally beaten, Edwards knows he's likely going to have to prove this was no fluke. The new welterweight champion said, "He's been the dominant champion, so naturally in sport, in boxing or MMA, when you defend the belt a couple of times or have been dominant, you get a rematch, so I definitely envision doing it again." While a potential fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Kamaru Usman would have been huge, a trilogy fight between Edwards and Usman is now the biggest score to settle in the 170-pound division. Before you go, you know the usual. Here are some Twitter reactions to Leon Edwards' head kick knockout. UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou tweeted, "As sad as I am, I can't not be happy for Leon Edwards from where he came from to make it here and what he been through. Congratulations at Leon Edwards MMA." Khamzat Chimaev tweeted, "WTF." Conor McGregor tweeted, "Just like that, baby, what a game. Huge congrats at Paradigm Sports and Leon Edwards, another champion." Conor McGregor also tweeted, "An amazing scene to witness. Huge congrats, Leon. A real good, solid, and dedicated mixed martial artist. The UK's second only UFC champion. Incredible. Congrats, mate." Terrence McKinney tweeted, "That's exactly what makes this the greatest sport in the world." Daniel Cormier tweeted, "We wrote his obituary. Wow, congrats on a championship high kick. You're the man now. #UFC 278. Aljamain Sterling tweeted, "Usman seconds away from retaining the belt and an insane head kick knockout from Leon Edwards. Wow. Jamaica has another UFC champion. I smell a trilogy. #UFC 278. Guys, thank you for watching the video. That's all for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.